Ukrainian patriarchate. The
So which
Kiev
is
one.
similar to Russian Orthodox, yeah?
It's similar, but there are some minor differences. Which don't ask me for the difference, please. I'm not a complete expert in this. But
So are you still a believer in that faith, or you're not?
Not really. Right now, I believe in a different kind of thing. I believe in sort of a God of conscience. You know.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Let me explain.
That's a new thing.
It really can't. I mean, it's kind of my thought. I've been thinking about if God really exists, and I think there is one God that can't be really debunked, because you know about the placebo.
Yeah.
The placebo actually works.
For some people.
Sometimes it works.
I don't think placebo works for cancer.
It doesn't.
But,
Yeah,
it does work.
exactly.
It
It's
depends
not
what you're talking
omnipotent.
about.
It's not omnipotent, but it works sometimes, which makes it a thing worthy of consideration, at least. What I believe in is that conscience that people create in their heads is their God, because it doesn't actually exist, and yet it dictates them. It dictates them to do this, do that, and it's very dependent on nurture, but also on human evolution.
Are you talking about the desire?
Huh?
Are you talking about the desire?
Also.
Because you have a willpower. Every human being has a willpower to either
Kind of,
fall
yeah.
into temptation
Yeah.
or to avoid it.
Yeah, but
Now,
that's the thing. That's the choice that you make.
Exactly, which is a
because
willpower. Everyone's been given this.
Yeah, but look, your willpower might be to only serve yourself, which is perfectly natural, to be honest. Animals only serve themselves; they don't think about the others. All there is in them is instinct in animals, and some intelligence in some cases. For example, the chimpanzees are the only animals that practice war in a way similar to humans. By which I mean they do war on each other to kill, not to get the, not like other animals. For example, the lion males sometimes kill each other to fight for the females, to fight for the pride. For the pride is the group of lions, of lionesses.
So
they fight each other for that, but they fight each other to get the lionesses. They don't fight each other to just kill. To just
No, they do sometimes for the territory. They kill.
They do. They kill.
So they mark the territories, and if somebody ventures into the territory, then they kill. It doesn't have to be only for the females.
But look, the chimpanzees are different because they actually attack in groups specifically to kill other tribes of chimpanzees.
But we do recognize animals are different from the humans. We do recognize
They are. Humans are kind of very advanced, very intelligent animals.
So do you believe in a God, in an almighty God?
That depends on what your consideration about God is. I believe in conscience, which is a term created by humans, by human evolution.
Yeah, but conscience is something that is available to every human being. Yes, every human being has conscience.
It really isn't.
Really? So you think? Do you know any human beings who don't have conscience?
Conscience is a very.
How would you define conscience?
Conscience can vary a lot. Conscience is what humans create to be able to survive in a society or in a group.
How do you define conscience?
That's how I define it. It's the way of thinking that you create to be able to survive in a group.
Way of thinking.
That's conscience.
Can you have conscience if you are not in a group?
Well, you probably can't.
Of course you can. Conscience just means you're aware of yourself. That's what it means. As simplistic
No,
as.
I don't mean self-awareness. I don't mean self-awareness.
But that's what consciousness is.
It isn't. Conscience. Conscience is if you steal something. And you feel
you
bad
mean your
for it.
conscience?
No, that's conscience, self-awareness and self-consciousness.
Okay. So you're talking about morality now. Am I right?
Conscience is morality.
No, because
Is the morality created by humans to be able to
no.
to live?
I believe there is objective morality. So I'm someone who believes in God, an almighty God, a sentient, conscious God, who basically has revealed to the people as to what is best for them and what is harmful to them. And if you abide by his laws, then you will be saved, because we believe in a life after death as well. We believe that after you die, it's not the end of everything. There's going to be a new beginning. So do you believe, because I know you said you come from an Orthodox Christian background. I believe you also have a similar belief, but you somehow have ventured away from
rather
that.
similar.
Yeah, it is.
If you believe in the Orthodox
in Abrahamic
Christianity,
faiths, yeah.
for Islam, Christianity, and Judaism are rather similar in many things.
That's why I said the Abrahamic faith, they have lots of similarities. But because you do not profess to be from an Abrahamic faith, you are saying, I have my own, my own beliefs, yeah? Now, how did you come to that conclusion, and why do you think you're right?
I came to that conclusion because Christianity or Judaism or Islam were not the first religions. And they will not be the last religions.
Okay.
People create different religions to get tools to survive in a society. You know, for example, the Romans had a really clever thing going for them, which is when they conquered a new people, they would accept the gods of the conquered peoples as their own.
Sorry, they wouldn't?
They would accept the gods of the conquered peoples as their own. They would add them to their pantheon of gods, which means they would kind of integrate the conquered peoples into their own society by accepting their gods as their own. The
Do you
Romans
think
did
that's a
that.
good thing?
I think that's a very clever thing. That's a
No,
very
but is it a good thing?
it's a very clever way of managing your society, which makes it a good thing.
How is it a good thing?
Because it
if something is
reduces
contradictory.
because it reduces religious friction.
Okay, I'll give you an example. You know, you mentioned the three faiths, the Abrahamic faiths,
Yeah.
Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. Imagine what you just mentioned with regards to the Romans accepting other deities from other people that they have conquered. Yes? Let me give you an example of Jesus Christ. Yeah? The three faiths, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, they all know this person in some way or form. They all know Jesus Christ in different ways. So it's the same person, and they know in different. For example, the Christians, the background that you come from, they believe that Jesus Christ is Lord and their God and their Savior. Yes? So they basically say he's one of the Trinity. So same as God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit.
No, he's like the Son. He's the Son because he's the incarnation of God. By that's what Christians believe.
But they call him God the Son, right?
Huh?
They call him God
They
the
call-
Son.
they call
They call him
him the
God.
Son.
They call him God as well.
God's Son. That's what they call Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but they also call him God.
Jesus. No, but God for Christians is a very abstract entity. They don't have a person who's God.
They do. They believe the three persons are God. The Father, Son, and Holy
No, but
Spirit.
they're slightly different because Jesus Christ is a more limited God because he has a body, he has a shape, he has limits. You know what I mean?
Which is
That's
exactly
why
the
he's
point I'm
Son.
trying to tell you.
That's why
You
he's
see,
the
this
Son
is-
of God.
yeah, this
That's
is what
not
I'm
why he's not God.
This is what I'm trying
He's not
to
complete.
emphasize here, that how they see Jesus Christ in the three Abrahamic faiths is different. For example, the Jews completely reject him, even as a prophet of God. Yes? The Muslims, on the other hand, accept him as a Messiah, accept him as a prophet and a messenger of God, but they do not give him the status or the
Son of God.
or the title of Son of God or God as the second person of the Trinity.
Yeah.
They do not do it. So you see, it's the same person. Now you're saying just because the Romans would accept. To be honest, I really have to look into this. I haven't looked into. How can
They
the
did.
How can the Romans or anyone else take
Because they were pagans.
something- yeah, I
and
know.
being
Yeah, I know.
pagans had a more flexible mentality about gods and stuff. They had many gods for different aspects of their life.
Yeah.
You know, now
just like the
Christian-
Hindus do?
Yeah,
Yeah, the
like
Hindus-
like the Egyptians.
For the
pharaohs,
Hindus, if
like the
a tree
Hindus,
if a tree is something that is beneficial to them,
Yeah.
they start worshipping the tree. Or if an animal is something beneficial to them, they start worshipping the animal.
Yeah,
Yes.
those are the polytheists. Now the monotheists, which are the people who believe in one God,
Yeah.
are more difficult to deal with. That's why the Romans, in the beginning, they were sending Christians to the Colosseum to be devoured by lions, because Christians didn't. The same with Muslims, same with Jews. They didn't accept to do that compromise of just becoming part of the pantheon, of making Jesus as part of the Roman pantheon of gods. They didn't accept it because
maybe
they
it's the
only
other way
believed in
around.
one God.
Maybe it is the other way around. Maybe the Christians got it from the Romans. Yes. Remember, like Zeus and his son
Got
Hercules.
Jesus from the
and his-
Romans.
yeah, not Jesus. God, Son of God. That concept they got it from the Romans, because the Romans at that time were the ones who were basically the political party, and they were the
I
ones
think you
ruling.
believe that Christians have two gods. It's not exactly how
I didn't say two gods.
I mean, it's God, Son of God.
Yeah. So God,
You're
Son
saying
of
that
God.
they got that idea from the Romans.
Yes. Why not?
Why do you
not?
think? Why do you think they got
Because
it from the Romans?
this is something not from the Abrahamic faith. So if you look at Judaism, they did not believe that God is a human being. The Romans, on the other hand, they used to believe that God can be a human being, and God can have sons, and God can have other family members, like mother or I don't know, daughter or something.
Like Zeus.
Yes, Zeus. So Zeus and Hercules, father and son, is something which was quite common among the Romans,
Yes.
and their
They were
understanding.
creating demigods like Hercules.
Yeah. So you see, like you said, Jesus was a lesser god, which is a demigod.
Well,
See what I mean? So this concept maybe came from the Romans.
there's a possibility, but look, we're kind of straying.
Yeah. So my
far
initial
away from
question
what
to
I
you was
talking
because
about.
you do not somehow consider yourself from the Abrahamic faith. You're saying I have my own beliefs, and you're saying you believe in a God who is God conscious.
Yes.
Yes. Now, how did you come to that?
History.
conclusion?
If you look at history, there are many different religions, many different cultures and faiths that have a different kind of conscience.
Okay.
For example, the Aztecs believed that they needed to sacrifice people to rip out their hearts, to offer them to their sun god, or else the sun would stop shining on the sky. The Egyptians believed that they needed to mummify their leaders, their pharaohs, and to give them riches, so they would be rich in the, in the other side, in the underworld.
So what do you think of those kind of?
They're different mentalities, different consciousness.
No, but would you agree with ripping off hearts in order to please the gods?
I don't. There's better consciousnness.
Okay. Would you agree with sacrificing a human being to please for the atonement of people?
I don't, but that proves my point, because my point is, when people get isolated in different parts of Earth,
Yeah.
their conscience is different, very, very different. And what we perceive as moral here might be perceived as completely preposterous in the other side of Earth. That means that conscience is a very malleable thing.
So you're
It's
saying morals are subjective, in other words?
Of course.
Of course they are. We don't deny that. But do you think there are such thing as objective morality? You don't think so?
No
So
such
how
thing,
do
I'm afraid.
so how would human beings come to a conclusion if everything is subjective? For example, for you today, homosexuality might be wrong, yes, and tomorrow for other people it might be right. So how does a human being, from your perspective, come to an understanding that yes, we have to now decide who's right and who's wrong?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And there's a very clear answer to that.
Which is?
It's because it works.
What
If
works?
it works, if a certain morality, if a certain way of thinking works, it will prosper. If it doesn't work, it will die out.
Oh,
That's how
so
history
you're
has
saying
been
if
working.
you're saying if something prospers, it is right. Is that what you're saying?
Basically.
Okay, let me ask you something. Tomorrow, if the society decides that incest is okay, to sleep with the mother and the daughter,
Incest does not work. It has been proven to not work.
you know what?
by
That is
science.
exactly what people said about homosexuality 50 years ago.
No, but look. There's actual proof that incest doesn't work.
How do you
because
know it doesn't work? How do you know it doesn't work?
Inbreeding, exactly.
Have you
If
ever seen
So you're
exactly.
saying, wait, let me ask you this. Are you saying that incest with a father and a son is okay? There's no need.
Not.
No.
But how does it not work?
Because it makes people corrupt.
How?
Look,
I give you an
how
example
does
of
it
father
make-
and son.
Okay, wait. Let me
string
give
of
you an
DNA.
example.
My friend, I
How
give you an
does-
example
how
of
does
father
me-
and son.
how
Explain
does
with that.
How does me just stealing something from a person and running away? How does it not make me corrupt? If I steal
no.
it and I
Stealing
don't get
something-
punished
listen,
for
listen,
it,
listen.
I will do it again and again.
Shall I
and
tell you
again because
why
it's
your
easy.
example is completely off the mark here? I'll tell you
Why
why.
is it?
Because in stealing, you're hurting someone. Yes? What is incest? Incest is where two adults, they have agreed to make love. Just like homosexuality. Yes, you got two consenting adults.
I'd
They
say
decide-
the baby's gonna be hurting quite a lot if it's inbred too bad.
Do you mind? Let me finish my statement.
Right.
Two consenting adults, they say that we love each other. The father and the son have decided to love each other.
Okay.
Okay? Because it's the father, male and male, there is no problem about procreation. So any objection you have with regards to them procreating is out the window.
I
Now
don't-
wait.
Okay, go ahead.
If you have no objection to homosexuality, why should you have a objection to someone? There are many people out there who say that we want to commit incest.
Because
and in fact,
family is a very important entity in the survival
again?
of society.
Say again?
Family is an important entity in the survival of a society. And
And-
if father and son fuck each other in the most literal of ways,
Yeah.
it rips apart the fabric of family.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's
the
not
same.
moral.
Would you
Yes,
not say the
it
same
doesn't-
thing?
It doesn't work.
Would you not say the
Doesn't
same thing
work.
about homosexuality?
No.
Why not?
Homosexuality is not father and it might be father or son, but that's incest. And I'm against incest.
Why?
Now,
Why are you against
It's the
incest?
same thing.
it's not the same thing.
Why? I didn't say the
Because
same.
incest
Of
is
course it's
father and
different. No
son.
one says it's the
It's
same thing.
people from the same family fucking each other.
But
which-
what's wrong with that? They say they're loving each other.
Because it corrupts family. It
How?
corrupts the fabric of family.
How does it corrupt?
How
If
does
you-
it
look,
look?
look.
If I go home, if you go home and
No,
fuck
no.
your mother, does it not corrupt
Look,
the family?
I'm not for incest. Just to, I know why.
Neither. Exactly.
Okay, I don't know why you're getting agitated. Calm down.
I'm not getting
I'm
agitated.
trying to make you understand why it is psychologically acceptable for certain people and not acceptable for you. You see the point I'm making? Remember the point, the reason I brought this point up is to show you what is subjective morality and what is the difference between objective
You are
morality.
comparing homosexuality to incest.
No, I'm not comparing.
Yes, you are.
No,
You're saying
no,
they're
no,
the
no,
same
no.
thing.
No, they're not the same thing. I never said that.
Yes, you did.
No, don't put
Yeah,
my
you
word.
did.
I said if you don't have a problem with homosexuality, where two consenting adults make love, why should you have a problem with two consenting family members making love? That was my point.
Yeah, you're comparing homosexuality.
I'm not comparing.
Yes, you are. You are literally
God.
comparing
Right then.
homosexuality.
Okay.
to-
Let's say I'm
to
comparing.
incest.
I'm comparing. What is your objection
To what?
to incest?
To
As-
incest.
as-
I just told you my objection 10 times.
Okay.
you
So you have a
you're
problem.
not
You have a
listening.
problem with that, right?
With incest?
Yeah.
I
You
do.
have a problem. Okay.
Hashim.
What about those people who
Hashim.
want to commit incest? What would you tell them?
Well, if I'm against incest, I'm against people who want to commit incest.
You see what I've just done here. I've showed you that in society you cannot have harmony just based on subjective morality. Because you see
Obviously not.
Hear me out.
Where did I disagree
Let
with
me
that?
finish and you'll
Okay,
understand
go ahead.
the point I'm trying to make. You see how strongly you disagree with incest. And I'm totally with you. I oppose it as strongly as you, maybe more.
All right.
Yes? The point I was trying to make here is this, that when you live in a society and you have subjective morality, left, right, and center, you'll have disharmony in the society. Because like you'll keep saying, no, it is wrong. It is wrong, it's absolutely wrong. You know, trust me, 50 years, in fact, less than 50 years from today, yes, there were people who were opposed to homosexuality in this country and elsewhere. Just as strongly opposing it as you are. In fact, some people used to go to jail for that because it was against the law. Not only in this country, in other countries as well. But today, it has become acceptable. You know why? Because
No, it hasn't.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know which
It ha-
society he's living
it-
in.
No,
Maybe
listen,
somebody should
listen,
enlighten him.
Listen. I know what you're talking about.
It's not against the law anymore. That's
know-
what I'm trying to
I
say.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
There are, look, I'm really against incest because it has been proven, scientifically proven.
Bro, I've already
to
agreed
be,
with you that I'm against it as well. But what I'm trying to tell you is that there are people in the society.
It's not against the law here in the UK right now.
It is against the law, incest. It
What
is
are
against
you
the law.
talking about? Where is it
What
not against
I'm
the law?
telling you is that there are societies and there are people today, yes, who want to commit incest.
Where?
Well, go to Holland, for example.
Holland.
Yes?
Okay.
In fact, there are people also who want to have sex with animals and they want to legalize that. I think in Germany there are brothels for animal sex. Yes? For bestiality. You might be smiling, but that is something which is a
Maybe
reality.
that society
Go and
will
check
die
it out.
then.
You see, this
Then
is.
isn't that, didn't you? That's what you said, right? You said what works is what morals come from. You said it's what works, yeah.
Yeah, well, what works for whom?
Well, it's the society. Like, so if there's incest in that society, it's going to mess the family up,
Yeah.
and it's going to mess the society up, right? Yeah.
According to
So-
whom? According to whom?
What? According to whether
According to
society.
history.
Because
Oh,
according to those,
history, yeah.
according to those people who
No, but
commit,
listen.
wait.
Yeah.
According to those people who commit incest,
Yes.
they are saying it will not mess up the
That's
family. In fact,
individual,
they are
not the
saying,
society,
in fact, they
though.
will counter this argument by saying that it'll increase the love because we are loving each
So
other.
that's an
It's complete
individual. That's an
bullshit.
individual.
You know, and Germany,
You see what I'm- my
and
point?
Germany,
That is
is
exactly
proof
what
of
I'm
that,
telling you.
And Germany is proof of that because their population is getting older, and they're reproducing much less to recover the population. If look,
Sorry, what is the reason for that?
bestiality and incest.
You really think Germany has
I'm
actually
certain
dropped
of it.
in population because of bestiality?
They
Who
didn't
told you
dro-
that?
Huh?
Who told you that? How
Listen,
many? What percentage of Germans go and basically copulate with animals? I would say it's a small,
Probably a
tiny
very small
fraction. Exactly.
proportion, yeah.
So because of that, it will not change the population. So I think you got your facts about Germany. I'm not trying to say Germans are wrong. I'm saying there are people within that community who accept, which
there
you
will
and I
always
abhor.
be people who will go against the morality of their country or of their society. There will
Ah.
always exist.
Absolutely. That is you see, you hit the nail on the head now, which is exactly what I was trying to tell you.
I never denied that.
Okay, so
there
now,
will always be people
so
who
if
are
there are
very
people,
different from.
so if there are people who are always against or for a certain thing,
All right.
who decides what is right and who decides what is wrong?
The people in power usually decide that.
Which means the majority.
Which means the people in power, which are not the majority.
Who put the people in power? The majority in a democracy.
Kind of.
Power put them in power.
Bro, do you live in a
Which-
democratic country or not?
Not
Yes,
direct democracy. Though.
So in a democratic country, the majority puts the people in power.
Listen, if you really believe that right now in the whole world like us, all of us, the plebeians, we choose the people who are in power, then I don't really agree to that.
I'm not
anymore.
saying there is democracy everywhere in the world. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying in majority of the countries there is
I
democracy.
think democracy right now is becoming a very, very big lie because people don't actually choose who's in power.
Okay.
For example, in Ukraine.
So you're saying-
in Ukraine, when Yanukovych became president of Ukraine, it was a complete lie because it was basically the money of the Russian oligarchs that bought him power. Then the people got angry. The people did a coup d'état to throw out Yanukovych. What happened next? The pro-Western oligarchs took power because they had the power, not because the people wanted them in power, because they just took the power they had and they used it to achieve absolute supremacy in Ukraine. And right now, the Ukrainians are between two, they're between Russia and between the West. And then there's the oligarchs, which are the government in the Ukraine, which don't care about the people, and they just fuck them as much as they want.
So you're saying the powerful people.
Back to the point. I'm talking about morality and how it defines what survives and what doesn't survive.
Oh, you're talking about survival of the fittest now?
Huh?
Have you gone back to like Stone Age or something?
No, I'm going back to what I was talking about.
No, my point
which
is,
which
you
is
still haven't
conscience.
answered my question.
Which is conscience.
Who decides what morality is acceptable and what should be rejected? Who
people
decides
in
that?
power.
Okay, so the people in power. So now you're agreeing with the people, the oligarchs in Ukraine.
No, I'm not agreeing with them. I'm
You just said
saying,
the people in power.
no, I'm saying that's how it is. I'm not saying that's how it should be.
No, I'm asking-
There's a big
but I'm
difference
asking
between
you,
the two.
your objective
but
opinion.
the people in power have always defined what will be the order in society.
Do you agree with that?
It has always been like
But
that
do you
in
agree
history.
with it? Do you agree with it?
If the people in power are just and they propose right things, then I agree with them.
Okay, if they are corrupt?
not, I agree to that the people in power should be deposed, whether by peaceful means, which is election in democratic countries, or by revolution, like in Ukraine, like it happened.
So
a while ago.
basically, we come down to deciding between the right and the wrong between morals. Is who is in power decides that. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not. I would argue.
Wait.
I'll let you answer because it's you.
Yeah, because it's your point.
Yeah, you got it.
Who
The people-
decides? That's my question. It's
They are the
Who
ones
decides?
who decide the morals. But
Sorry,
whether
who
the
decides
morals,
again? Who decides?
the people in power are the ones who decide the morals. But I don't mean that as a good thing or as a bad thing. That's just reality. How it really works, whether it will work or not, only time will tell.
Okay, let me ask you-
Because corrupt societies with a corrupt morality, they will go extinct inevitably.
Yeah, but
there have been many
I don't think so.
civilizations.
I don't
Bro,
think so. I don't think so.
all of
That-
the civilizations
if they
that
go
existed
extinct,
until now
listen.
destroyed
If
themselves
they
from the
go
inside.
if they become extinct, yes, then they become extinct maybe after I've done a lot of damage. Yes?
Sometimes.
Yes. For example, do you think Trump and his government is good today? Do you think they'll go extinct tomorrow? No. They will remain in power because they are the most powerful economy. Okay, both in terms of the money, the finance they have, and the weapons they have. So it is the weapons today and the money which equates to power. I agree with you. That decides as to what is acceptable in the society, because they are the ones also in charge of the media. They are the ones who are also in charge of maybe education as well in those countries and other countries as well.
Yeah.
So they can influence with their power and with their weapons
Yes.
other countries.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. But do you think that is the right thing?
What I think is the right thing or the wrong thing doesn't matter even one little bit. Because what's right doesn't win.
It does,
What
because-
works wins.
No, it does. I'll tell you why. Because what works is not the same thing as what is right. For example, during the time of Hitler, yes, his dominance did work for a certain
In the
time.
beginning, but then he started a
Wait,
war
wait,
he couldn't
wait.
win, and he
Because-
lost
no,
the
no,
war,
no.
and his people got
That's
fucked.
you're fast
After he
forwarded.
done- after he did a
you're
lot of
fast forwarded
damage.
very quickly. For the
No, but
time being,
listen, I told you many times that only time can tell for certain if something will work or not. For example, when the Roman Empire started and they invaded foreign countries, and they enslaved the people, they killed a lot of people also. Who could have told at that point that they would be one of the best empires that ever existed, one of the empires that created most of the rules and most of the laws that we have today? The groundwork for the Western society. Who would have known that at that point? Nobody.
it worked, right? For a certain time. In fact, for
It
a
did
long
work.
time.
A very long time indeed.
Was it right?
I think it was. I think it was
You
worth
think
it.
the Romans enslaving and butchering
I think it
and
was
genocidal?
worth it.
What kind of a person are you? What happened to your moral all of a sudden?
Listen, the Romans lived
You
in
see,
a
this is
very
what I
different,
mean. When you
in a
start,
very different. You are trying to apply morals of our days to the Romans, which is completely preposterous.
no.
You can't
hold on,
apply
hold on.
morals of
Whether-
our times
whether it is
to
murder-
the Romans.
listen.
The times were different.
Listen,
there was much
whether
less
it is murder
order,
today,
less civilization.
listen, whether it is murder today or murder back then is still murder, right?
Yes.
So don't tell
the
me morals.
consequences were different.
Morals today and morals back then might differ in certain things. For example,
Some things
certain
remain the
cultures.
same, of
listen,
course.
certain cultures even today, the morals might differ. But when we talk about something like murder, like genocide, yes, which every sane person will recognize and acknowledge it is wrong. So do not say just because the Romans did it back then, it was right. Yes, it worked for a very long time. Didn't make it right though. And this is where I come back to you. You know why I keep asking you this question, who decides what is right and wrong in morality? It is because it is not what you're thinking now. You're depending on the society, you're depending on the history, you're depending on other people to define what is morally right for you, which is not the way it's supposed to be.
Really?
You remember you mentioned earlier about your consciousness. Yes?
Let me ask you a question.
No,
What
wait,
is
let me-
morality for you?
Let's finish this and then you can ask me. So when I asked you first as to who decides, as to your beliefs, you told me my consciousness. This is my belief. This is away from the Abrahamic faith. You see, we came back a full circle and we have realized that just because something happened in the past or happening now and it seems to be accepted by the society at large doesn't make it right. Whether it was the Romans, whether it is the Americans or the British or the Europeans, doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't make it right. And that is the reason I believe that we have to have someone in authority. Yes, someone higher than us in terms of both knowledge, understanding, and power. And this cannot be a human. The reason is because every human has some or the other flaw, and every human has made mistakes. You have made mistakes in your life. I have made mistakes in my life. If we depend on people who themselves have acknowledged that they have made mistakes in their
Okay,
life,
so you want to depend on God.
I want.
How will God dictate the actions of people right now? Where is God when people commit murder? Where is God when people sin? Where is God at that point?
Can I answer?
God doesn't exist the way you think He exists.
Can I
God
answer?
is
You
the
ask the
conscience.
question, you're answering yourself. Are you asking or you're telling me?
I'm answering it because I
Well,
don't
if
think
you're
you
asking a
understand
question,
my point
I'll
of
answer,
view.
but if you make a
I
statement-
I think you're considering that I'm thinking that what works is what succeeds in the short term.
No, that's what you said.
No, that's not what I believe.
But I asked
I don't
you.
think that's actual success.
Remember, I asked you who
I mean,
decides.
that's short-term success. For example, the Mongolian Empire was very successful, short-term. They conquered, the second biggest empire that ever existed in the history of mankind. But how did they conquer it? Genghis Khan exterminated about 20% of humans on Earth.
What is the point you're making?
20% of humans. The point I'm making is he wasn't right. He wasn't doing the good for
You're agreeing with me,
mankind,
my friend, now.
but he was very successful at that
But you
one
agreed with
point.
me. Do you realize that? Remember, I asked you earlier who
That's what I
decides.
mean. Good does not win,
Good does that
and
mean?
evil doesn't win. It's not about
who-
it's not about who's
so who-
good, who's the good guy, and who's the bad guy.
Okay, so who decides what is right and what is wrong?
Fullness of history.
You see, the reason I asked you that earlier, you said
There is
what
nobody
works,
who will
and now you're
decide
saying
that.
what
Sometimes
works doesn't work.
Listen, sometimes
You're contradicting yourself.
I'm not
have.
contradicting myself at all.
You are.
Because sometimes evil will win inevitably.
Okay, let me
Just
ask you the
because
question
it
again.
works short term.
Let me ask
Like
you the
Hitler
question again.
won in the beginning,
You agree?
and like Genghis Khan won in the beginning.
fact, you're agreeing with
Sometimes
me.
evil wins in the beginning, but long term it will never win because it doesn't work. It doesn't
Who
consider.
defines what is evil?
Who defines? History defines what is.
History defines.
Yeah.
So history defined at what point in history defined, for example, slavery was wrong. Because at one point, not only slavery, but even apartheid was legal. Slavery was legal in this country. Slavery was legal, perfectly legal. So you tell me who defines what is right and wrong. You see, every time you're going back to history and you're realizing it was wrong. And that is the reason you
Okay,
need.
so wait, my history is wrong. So
No, I
your
didn't say your
history
history
is
is
right.
No. I'm not saying your history is right. I'm saying your methodology to identify what is right and wrong is wrong.
Really?
Yes, because every time I ask you who decides what is right and wrong morally, you're saying history decides.
Well, I'm
And then
sorry.
I show you-
I'm sorry that I define what is right and what is wrong by considering history.
Yes.
But you define what is right and what is wrong by a made-up God.
Who said it's
by
made up?
something that doesn't exist.
Who do you-
By something that look. look, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, it hasn't existed. It hasn't always existed.
How do you know that?
Because history is more trustworthy than religion.
How far can you trace history? How far back?
I can trace back history when writing was invented. When people started to write about what was happening, that's the beginning of history.
And who are those people?
The first civilization that had, that wrote were the Sumerians. Exactly.
Sumerians, okay.
Sumerians.
Which is how many years?
I don't know the exact amount of years, but it was
roughly.
thousands and thousands of years.
10,000 years? Okay, do you think there were people before that?
Of course there were people.
So, in other words, you don't know what happened before that. Am I right? That's what you're admitting.
Yes.
Yes? That doesn't
Well,
mean...
you can kind of tell what happened before that because there's archaeological records.
No.
For example, bones, utensils, all kinds of stuff.
Even then, you can only go up to a certain
We
point.
can go back millions and millions of years, but it's not as certain as history, as written history.
Look, even history, you can only trace it back up to a certain point. Okay?
Written history is definitely
Hear me
only
out.
until
Hear me
a
out.
certain-
So your argument is from silence. It's called argument from silence. Just because you do not have evidence of something, that means you are somehow implying that there was no religion before that.
Well, why are you?
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, but
Because he's saying religion existed. From history, we can trace it up to a certain
There
point.
was,
But I'm
there was
saying,
kind of a shamanic kind of religion, where, for example, when the Indians, I'm going to call them Indians because, the Apaches and all that stuff in America before the Europeans came there.
the Native Americans.
The Native Americans, yeah. They are a good example of that because they had
What?
shamans. They had shamans and they didn't actually write stuff.
oh, you mean the witch doctors, the shamans?
Yes.
Yes. What about
that?
them?
Was the kind of religion that existed back then. When people don't understand
that was
things,
religion, doesn't
they
matter.
they make up their own
My friend,
explanations.
whether they could write or not, you have to acknowledge they had a religion. Okay? So just because you cannot trace history beyond certain limit, beyond a certain point, doesn't mean there was a religion. This is your understanding.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay, so how far can you trace history? Like I said, up to a certain point.
Look, officially,
Up to a certain point.
officially,
Yes.
history is traced back.
What if I told you religion has always existed since the first man?
It has, probably.
I don't. I
some
don't
way
Why
or
would you not?
another.
Why would you not?
Because man has evolved from ape,
Yeah.
and ape don't believe in God.
So you're saying your forefathers were apes?
Well, of course, religious people, they just refuse to admit that they might evolve from animals.
I'm asking you.
Humans are
I'm
not
asking
that
you. I'm
different
asking you.
from
Have you looked into
animals.
evolution?
Oh, you're going to
Humans
different
have
argument.
much higher.
Have you looked into evolution?
Okay, yeah.
Have you looked into Darwinism? Darwinism has become a religion today in a way.
Religion.
Yes, scientism has become a religion.
How
Because
so?
people, I'll tell you what, do you believe in science? Anything that science says is written in stone or it is susceptible to change?
Well, if you think that way, everything you know is what you believe in. But you can't.
That's not what I asked you.
But
You're not even
because
listening.
because you don't have proof that anything that you see or what you hear or what you know is
My
true.
friend, you're not even listening to the
Because
question I
our
asked you.
our senses
Do you know what I
are
just
flawed.
asked you?
I know what you just
What
asked.
did I ask you?
You asked. Okay,
You see, that's your problem.